welcome to a brand new episode of the Five Heart Podcast, brought to you by CornNation.com and the SB Nation Podcast Network. I'm your host. My name is Greg Mahochko. Joining me, as always, he is our founder and fearless leader, John Dam Johnston. Hello, John.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited. This is going to be such a fun show.
It is. Todd is with us.
John,
Yes, yeah.
John, do you have mood lighting in your room there? A lava lamp or something?
No, this part of this is just the old light that's in this room because I don't know why, but part of it is also my glow.
Your glow. Before we get into everything,
But no, before we get to anything, do you want to know what happened Saturday night when Todd and I went out with Aaron?
I have a bad feeling about this.
So Aaron decides we're going to go to this Mellow Mushroom. Was that the name of it, Todd?
Yeah, Mellow Mushroom down in the
Mellow
Haymarket.
Mushroom, and he tell us it's a 40-minute wait. So we go over to the rail yard. Those guys get drinks. We get a text. We come back. We sit down, and this young college student guy walks up to the table and he goes, "First, you guys need to start out with a drink." And Todd's been looking at the menu, and for some fucking reason, Todd looks at the guy and he orders a beer. You know you're gonna own this forever.
Yeah.
He looks at the guy.
You do not have to tell everyone this. You do not have to. Well, you've gone too far, though.
Did you order a White Claw?
No, I ordered some kind of a wheat beer.
He orders a beer and he looks at the kid. And before I say this next line, there are Geico commercials, right? There are Geico commercials about how not to become your parents. And one of them is guess what? That waiter doesn't need to know your name. So Todd looks at the guy and he orders a beer. And the next line he says is, "But don't give me two of them or I'll have gastrointestinal issues."
Oh, jeez.
And I look at him and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I look at the kid and I said, "Well, I don't drink anymore. I'll have an iced tea, but don't give me two. Because if you do, I'll start shitting myself. I'll start shitting myself and screaming." And then everything went on from there. So it was the pizza was really good.
The pizza was outstanding. It's certainly one of those top 30% of pizza I've ever eaten. Maybe higher than that. It was good stuff.
Well,
Beer was good too.
This poor college student was stuck with us for the rest of our meal, and that was only the beginning.
I think Aaron probably wondered what the hell had he gotten himself into going out for pizza with the two of us. Well, he was drinking some Jameson, so maybe he was in good shape.
Well, now it seems like as good a time as any to announce our sponsor for this week's show. John, any guesses?
Is it Blue Chew?
That's right. This episode of the Five Heart Podcast brought to you by Blue Chew. Fellas, are you worried about having a first half that's played with the thud rules? You know, a little two-hand touch. Well, pop that Blue Chew, and it'll be full contact all night long. See, Blue Chew.
We're getting paid for that because that's really nice.
Thank you. I wrote it myself.
We get free samples because I'll take them.
I know you will, John.
Part of my system's fucked up. I need that. I'll use them.
I'm trying to finish the spot for our beloved advertiser. Blue Chew has the same active ingredient as Viagra and Cialis, but it is a chewable, so it can work in as fast as 15 minutes. Now, a 5-star recruit from any outlet, it's the perfect pregame ritual. And since it's all online, there's no awkward doctor visits or pharmacy pickups. It ships in discreet packaging right to your front door. So maybe you suffer from that dreaded ED, or maybe you just want a little extra confidence in the bedroom. Guys, I'm telling you, Blue Chew is the blue chipper your squad needs. BlueChew.com.
What happens if you take two?
You grow a second one, and the
It becomes awkward.
then you got some splendid.
Okay. It takes 15 minutes to activate, so that time can actually be spent in floor play, which is something that's foreign to most men.
Floor play?
Floor play.
Floor play is when you lay down the new laminate flooring.
Very good, very good.
So you can get a little work done before you're ready to go.
Podcast.
Little home.
You know what happened when we were at the rail yard, Greg? I got to tell this too.
I'm excited.
So the rail yard, I mean, it's Saturday night and it's loud and it's music and there's a DJ and it's full of young people having fun. And those two guys want to drink. So we finally figure out we're supposed to go over and get in line. And, I drink water. So the guy directs me over there. Of course, Aaron gets this text, right, that says it's time to come over and get some pizza. And
okay, take a step back on this story. First of all, the problem with the rail yard was that when you finally got to the drink window, they had 30 kinds of beer. Now, what the hell does a college bar, what's a college bar doing with 30 kinds of beer? I mean, when we were in college, it was one kind of beer. Whatever beer they had on tap is what you drank. That made it far too difficult to make a decision. And, I had to sit there and ponder what I really wanted. And so I got 2 Nebraska brews. I don't remember what they are. One was darker, one was lighter. And so I slugged down the darker beer. Now you can pick up with your story, John.
Oh, thank you, Todd. I will continue. We get this text and Todd has 2 beers in his hand and one's pretty empty and the other one's completely full. And I said, well, we need to go over there to get our pizza. And Todd looks at me and he looks at his beer and he's not going to chug it. I can tell. And I'm thinking, I look at him and I say, why don't you just give it to somebody? And he's like, what? And he hesitated. That's what he fucking did. He hesitated. And there is a line in life that says, if you hesitate, he who hesitates is lost. So basically I took the beer from his hand and I'm going to give it to somebody. And at first I look at this middle-aged guy, but he's already got a beer and he's with a nice looking woman, who's probably his wife. She's got whatever she's drinking. So I walk over to this picnic table and these 2 young guys, one of them sitting on the picnic table, on the table part, and the other one's got his back to me. And I walk up to this kid and I said, hey, you guys want a beer? Nobody's drank out of this. We need to leave and go eat some pizza. And now my hair.
The guy thought he was getting a roofie. The guy thought John was hitting on him.
Now, I don't think he thought I was hitting on him. He just looked at me. He did. He looked at me. He looked at the beer and then he looked at me and I could tell his exact mind was he's put something in this beer. Right. So I look back at him and I'm done with him already. I'm like, fuck this guy. He doesn't trust me anyway because I look like a psychotic old man, which is a good judge of character. So I tap his buddy on the shoulder and his buddy turns and looks at me and I go, hey man, you want a free beer? Because we got to leave and nobody's drank out of this. And he's happy as shit. He is Merry happy. Christmas. He is just over. Oh my God. Yes. And I kind of out of the corner of my eye, see his buddy kind of start to say no. And he just starts to kind of lean forward. And then he looks at me and he looks back at his buddy and he realizes that his buddy was just like I used to be. He'll drink fucking anything. He'll drink whatever the fuck somebody would give him a glass of whatever the fuck it was and say, drink this. And he'd just go, fucking shit. And he is so happy to get a free beer. And he turns in and he gives me the happiest Go Big Red I have heard throughout this entire pandemic, which I, of course, have to respond with Go Big Red, dude. And then we go eat our pizza. But I guess I was surprised that some young guy would look at me and think that I'm going to drug him or something. I didn't. On the other hand, my hair is really, my God, I need to do something with this. This is why people signed up for this podcast to listen to me talk about my hair.
Hindsight 2020, I should have stayed there in the rail yard and drank my own damn beer and let you 2 guys go over and order the pizza.
That way you wouldn't have had the embarrassing moment of ordering the beer at the pizza place.
Right, and disclosing my gastrointestinal concerns. Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's smart though, Todd, that you were out on the forefront because hey, the more people that you have aware of your situation, the more likely it is that you're going to stay on the bandwagon. So
remember, Todd, the waiter doesn't need to know your name.
You know, that's perfect, John. That ought to be kind of like our guiding principles going forward. Yeah.
hi, Nate.
Hi.
Nate's
feel
trying
like
to make us all dizzy, I think.
Sorry.
Did we interrupt your errand running, sir?
Are you
Yeah,
coaching third base?
My wife wanted her coffee we bought, and so I am going to go get it. Or I grabbed it. So
The coffee?
yes. Not for tonight, for tomorrow morning.
Oh, what kind of coffee?
It's called it's called Nespresso, Nesper. I'm not gonna try to spell it, but anyways,
It's
yeah.
an espresso with an N at the beginning of it.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so we have one of those machines, and it's like, now I know what good coffee tastes like, type of deal, But
I'm gonna stop you right there. And from now on, anytime you talk about beverages, Nate, you're gonna have to put your sophisticated pinky out, because I drink Folgers Classic Roast, and that's just the best coffee in the world. I don't need anything special. Folgers Classic Roast gets me through the day.
Are you gonna do another fucking ad or what?
Yeah, I mean, they can continue to back that Folgers truck up right to my house, man. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Everybody knows that.
okay, so if you are making Folgers at your house, I'm fine with it, and I'll drink that. But when you're working in an office and like you can smell the Folgers burning on the whatever, because it's just been sitting there, that's when I'm out. I used to not care when I was in college. Like, yeah, this stuff tastes like burnt whatever, but it gives me caffeine, right? No.
Oh
So,
God, I thought you were gonna say it gives you gastrointestinal issues.
no. So yeah.
That'd have been the best. Good callback, John. I'm proud of you. And you say your mind isn't what it used to be. That was sharp. John,
what?
Speaking of beverages, you were out. You were photographing a baseball series. The spring, of course. I just want to make sure. I think the fine listeners and viewers of the Five Heart Podcast right here on Coronation need to know: did you stay properly hydrated?
Oh my God. You know what I did? Because it was 88 fucking degrees Saturday.
Exactly. I'm looking out for you. Like, you roll your eyes, but I'm concerned, John.
It was 100 degrees, I think, on the field. I mean, it's always hotter down on the field, and the wind gusts were terrible. And then right after that, I went over to baseball and sat out the sun some more. Well, Todd set up in the nice, cool, air-conditioned media box, and then I went out to the rail yard, and pizza and gastrointestinal issues and all sorts of fucking shit happened. And then I was going to go dancing, but then those guys wanted to leave. So.
Okay. So you're complaining that you are closer to the action. You have a better view of the action. You hear what they're talking about and all that, because it's a little warm out. And then you put us in the past, and Todd most recently up in the air conditioning, where you can't hear anything, you can't talk, you don't feel the action, and you kind of watch it from a bird's eye view.
Yeah, John.
And what? You realize, Todd, when you get a credential like that you can come down and sit in the stands.
Well, yeah, but I had hot dogs.
Did you?
Wait, were they hot dogs or were they Fairbury Franks?
Oh, they were Fairbury Franks. Tommy boy.
Make sure.
What's Tommy boy? What's that mean?
That's the big Fairbury Frank.
They're really red.
They're very good.
I had a comment about that. Did you want to hear that comment, Greg?
Does it fall more in line with our Blue Chew spot from earlier?
Well, it kind of does. You know, I haven't had I don't remember having a Fairbury hot dog. I really don't. And honestly, I didn't remember. I'll stay away from that talking. But I looked at this Fairbury hot dog and I went, my God, that is really, really red. And it looks like a dead skinned penis, honest to God. That's what I thought. I thought I'm going to have this hot dog and people
He
love
told everybody at the rail yard about it too.
Probably not what you're going to find on Fairbury's advertising. Looks like a dead skinned penis. Nope, not going to happen. Nope. Mm-mm.
You know, Greg, you know what the difference between me drunk and me sober in a crowd is?
I imagine,
Not
honestly, very
Not
little.
much. Yeah.
Not
a whole
really.
lot.
No.
And here's the thing, John, you've lived through it all. You've died through it all, and you've come back, thank God, through it all. You don't have a filter. So, you know, the liquid courage that a lot of people experience when they've had a few brewskis, it doesn't affect you because you're just like all the time, what have you got to lose?
I got a brain injury.
You go around with like a laminated card that if you offend somebody accidentally, you just be like, I have a brain injury. Put it
No,
back
what I have to do is get in better shape because there was a lot of younger guys at the rail yard. And if we'd have stayed there much longer, I'm pretty sure I would have had to run away. Todd and Aaron would have been standing there and they would have been, you friends with who's? And then they would have get the shit kicked out of them. And I would have been running away down the street. That's usually what my mode of operation includes. We should probably actually talk about Husker sports.
Yeah, we're only about 20 minutes into the show.
Yeah.
So let's get to it. We're going to save the spring game. Don't worry, folks. We're going to get there. Todd has a few news and notes that he was going to share with us. First, we're going to start with the ladies of the lane. Todd?
Well, yeah, it just came out in the news today that Crystal Elliott, top bowler for Nebraska, she was named the NTCA Bowler of the Year, and rookie head coach Paul Klempa was named the NTCA Coach of the Year. So, you know, the honors continue for the Nebraska bowling team. You know,
also by Nate.
And you know, that's great. And also on the ladies' side, I just looked up when John and I were at the baseball games, you know, we kept getting the announcements that brought us up to speed on the softball team, and Nebraska's softball team won 5. It's an unusual weekend when you play the same team 5 times, but they swept 5 games from Maryland. And that was a huge boost to them in the Big Ten Conference. They're sitting in 5th place. And unlike baseball, Big Ten softball typically has gotten 4, 5, 6 teams, you know, into the NCAA tournament. So if Coach Rhonda Revelle can keep those girls on an upward trajectory, there's an opportunity for Nebraska to make some noise here at the end of the season in softball. They got some tough teams coming up, but you know, good on them.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I may be, but Coach Revelle, is she not the longest tenured coach at Nebraska?
I think she's the longest tenured coach at Nebraska, and she's one of the longest tenured coaches in the Big Ten. She's
across all sports, or
no, in softball.
Okay.
Coach Hutchins from Michigan's been, you know, she's been around for a long time. But Rhonda Revelle, she's either a 1985 or a 1986 Nebraska grad. And she coached a couple of different places, and then came to Nebraska and was an assistant and then became the head coach. She and I were dance partners back in PE classes at good old Nebraska U. So
tell me more. What was that, line dancing?
Well,
or
she wasn't bohemian, so I didn't choose her to polka. The only way you could pass polka was you had to find one of those Czech girls, one of those bohemian girls from Wilbur or David City or somewhere. And then, you know, you just kind of whispered in her ear and said, hey, you lead, I'll hang on. And then you could pass the polka. So I honestly, it might've been a schottish or something like that. Hell, I don't remember, but I do remember dancing with Rhonda and, oh gosh, she just, retired as Nate McHugh. Doggone it, he's not here, but, he had I think it was his cousin. I saw a picture of him with this other gal he used to dance with that was a basketball official, Ann Schroeder. Ann Schroeder used to dance with her. She's third baseman for the Nebraska softball team. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Well,
good old days.
you know what? A Five-Heart episode of the Five-Heart podcast is not complete if we don't relive Todd and John's college years.
We save it for another time, but we could talk to you about our wiffle ball team, co-ed wiffle ball team, where we had members of the women's volleyball team on our co-ed wiffle team. You remember that, John? We were ringers.
Annie Adams, Zach.
Annie Adams, Zach.
Oh my God, I forgot about her. She was the closest thing to a goddess that ever has walked the earth.
Kathy Noth from Bettendorf, Iowa. She was on that team. She played wiffle ball. She was an all-state softball player in high school.
Red-haired?
Pardon?
Kathy Noth, was she red-haired?
No. She had brown hair, I think. But I know who you're thinking of. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think we won that tournament. We should have.
Well, few roads diverge in yellow wood.
Yeah.
And
but
then
no,
the third
women's
pops off. Don
the
and Todd
women's
take
team
it way off top.
Yeah, the women's team's been doing good, and then good thing. Baseball team lost 3 over the weekend, but a positive is, John and I mentioned this a while back that they got another shot at Rutgers. They're going to play Indiana 2 games out in Piscataway, and then they've got Rutgers for 2 games. But here's the positive coming out of the baseball program right now. Kyle Perry, who's been out with Tommy John surgery, it sounds like he will see some action this weekend. I'm sure that they'll have him on a very restricted pitch count, but it's good to see him back. And hopefully, by the end of the season, he's that guy you can put out there for 2 or 3 innings, and he's a good pitcher. So,
can I ask a question regarding Kyle Perry, but not just Kyle, but like any college athlete, in any sport, when they have to have a surgery, Tommy John, ACL, something like that. And I feel like the answer is common sense that I should know, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is it university insurance that covers that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I figured.
Answer the question actually vocally because we are doing a podcast. Yes, it is. Unless they choose to use their own doctors.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, now you know. The more you know. Knowing is half the battle.
By the way, I'll take the blame for the sweep against Rutgers.
You don't have to carry that.
Nebraska baseball looked at me as he was walking by me in the media room, and he looked at me and he goes, "This is all your fault." I said, "Yeah, I kind of feel like it is too, because I haven't been back to Haymarket since I was dead, and then I show up and we get swept for the first fucking time at home since 2009." I thought if we played well enough to get an NCAA regional, I go back down and shoot some more photos. But if we get an NCAA regional, I'm going to not go to Lincoln. Because I'm not my baseball, for whatever reason it is the most extremely superstitious sport there is. I have no idea why that is. Maybe it's because we could do a podcast on that later.
I knew guys when I played high school baseball who didn't wash their socks all season.
Yeah. That sounds like trench foot.
I mean, I guess they take them off the end of the game, end of the day, whatever. They hang them up and let them air out a little bit, but I don't know. I might be making that up. I've got a bad memory too.
When they put them on at the end of the season, did they just crawl on their feet on their own? God, I mean, that's terrible. I mean, socks are.
I always tell you hear it, in anybody, in any Army movie, things like that is the first rules are keep your feet and your socks dry. So. What else do we have? Tell you what, it doesn't affect the Huskers anymore, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. Teddy Allen has found a new home, and he is going to New Mexico State, signing on there. So I think it's his. I don't think we said it had any shots across the bow or anything like that. But on the Facebook post over at Coronation, says something about like it's his 5th college, and some people got kind of shitty about that. There were people like, oh well, there were people who were actually like saying unnecessary things, and there was a certain level of defense levied for Teddy Allen about like, you don't know a situation, a lot of indictments about the transfer portal, which again I don't necessarily disagree with, but he's moving on. I guess we wish him the best of luck. I don't know, it doesn't affect us anymore, so hell with it.
That's true. We got a crap ton of good basketball players, more coming in all the time. So,
Nate,
Teddy Allen, best of luck.
We got a new basketball player. Tell us about him.
Oh, is he a point guard? I have no idea.
Okay, never mind. Thanks, Nate. By the way, I see you. I don't know if you were just wanting to join the Backwards Hat Club. I had a test run with these two old farts, and I said, look, am I too old to wear my hat backwards? And I had it this way, turned it the other way, and John yelled at me for not committing because the bill was slightly curved. He said it's either straight and you want to be young or put it over a Coke can. I had to say, look, I haven't worn a hat in 5 years. I took these out of the garage just for the show. So I like your hat, Nate. I don't think you have your bill apparently does not have enough bend to please John.
No, it's better than yours. Was like some kind of weird halfway in the middle shit. Don't be doing that shit. Don't be straightening it out, you fucker. You used to take a can, you used to get it wet and take some rubber bands and wrap it around a can and then curve it.
That's what I used to do back in the day.
No, you buy, well, at least for us. And I'm on my porch, so if you hear an echo, let me know and I can move somewhere else. But you would put your hat in like it was like a black molding you put in the dishwasher and you run it. And it was like, then your hat would be like curved. Anyways, so.
Oh yeah, I suppose you fucking rich people do that kind of shit.
Rich people, yeah. Yeah, okay.
I just took
had a dishwasher. I didn't have a dishwasher, and I had to walk uphill both ways through a blizzard, leading my horse sometimes, you fucking bastard.
Okay.
Greg.
Good to have the whole gang back together.
Greg.
Yes.
The
Todd.
basketball player's name was Quarren McPherson.
Thank you.
Don't know if he's a point guard.
He's 6'3", I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he is a point guard.
Did I see a statistic or a graphic online, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, Nate. I mean, I did, but I wasn't trying to, where it showed that Nebraska at present has a better recruiting class than some of the traditional men's basketball blue bloods like Duke, North Carolina. Just Fred Hoiberger's out there getting it. And I hope all these seeds that he has been sowing and all these players that he brings, I hope it turns into a tremendous amount of success for him. Not just because, we're all Husker fans and we want to finally be that damn last Power 5 or program to win a tournament game. But Hoiberg seems like a genuinely good dude who you just can't help but root for.
You know what's going to happen? Greg? Fred Hoiberg's going to win a Big Ten title before that fucking Fran McCaffrey is at Iowa, because he's only a above average coach that stays in a program that's perfectly happy with above average.
Crybaby
Fuck those
Fran.
people in Iowa.
Crybaby Fran.
What's Nebraska happy with, basketball wise? That's what I'm asking.
What are we happy with?
Yeah, you said they're completely happy with that. But like
Above
they
average.
just had players in the country. I mean, we've had the best player we've had in 10 years is what? I mean, I was a huge Isaiah Roby fan. by the way. And so, and he's, by the way, doing very well in the NBA, not winning a lot of games, but he's gonna get paid. So
good. I think to answer your question, Nate, above average, like Iowa is going to always have the same amount of success. Like I feel like Iowa has plateaued. I feel like Nebraska is trending upward. And I feel like the ceiling with Fred Hoiberg is higher than that of Fran McCaffrey. But what are we happy with? It's a tricky question because I don't think we're happy at all. Now, we've had happy moments, like No Sit Sunday. No, wait, John, but I don't think we are truly going to celebrate until we're in the tournament and we win that first game. Now, if we win a conference championship along the way, before that, great. But there's that. It's not an asterisk. It's not a stigma, but there's still that whatever the number is and as far as tournament record, it's arbitrary number and 0. And until that 0, or I should say 0 and arbitrary number, get it right. But until that win column gets a notch, when that win column gets a notch, it's going to be free beer across Nebraska for a whole week. That's my prediction.
Do you know what? I feel more confident that Hoiberg will win an NCAA tournament game for Nebraska than I am that Scott Frost will go to a bowl game.
Don't you do that to me, Nate?
It's your thing, you trolly motherfucker.
No, I'm serious though.
Okay, you know what? Here you go. Tonight, Scott Frost was on the radio, and here's what he had. Here's what he had to say. He said, according to the Omaha World paper, Sam McKeon says, Scott Frost says, we're faster than we've ever been. Definitely since I've been here. We have better athletes at almost every position. They've trained to become better athletes. I don't think we have a bunch of holes on the roster like I felt we've had in the past. That has to do with recruiting and the talent we have on the roster, but also the work they put in. The wide receivers, a position group that Frost is described as an Achilles heel, are an example of the team's growth, Frost said. I think that group is about there. Sam Torre, Samori Torre, and Omar Manning. They're going to kick ass. That's what they're going to do.
Well, yeah, I think Torre is going to be an NFL receiver, personally. Manning, if they always say, if he's on the field consistent, he's also going to be an NFL receiver, which we have not had, in 4 years or whatever. I'd say it was Quincy Anua. Is that the last one?
No, we had
Jordan Westerkamp.
He went to the Saints. Now he was the big time leader right before Frost came in. I think maybe he tough as nails kid went to the Saints.
Kenny Bell?
No, he set the record, didn't he, for like receptions, yards, or something like that, or in a single season?
God, we're all just hitting zeros here.
We have such not recency bias, but like short-term memory.
I don't know. And I think Quincy Anunwa is our last NFL wide receiver, isn't he?
Didn't Stanley Morgan get well, he wasn't drafted.
Stanley Morgan.
Yeah, there you go.
We said Stanley Morgan.
You're right.
Thank you, Todd.
Wow.
Thank you.
He's a Pliny guy, though, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, here's some sunshine and lollipops. How about this? Frost gets to a bowl game this year, and Hoiberg's team wins a NCAA tournament.
That would make a really good 2021, 22.
So, let's talk about that spring game then. I know, by the way, check it out if you haven't. There was a tremendous bonus episode brought down by John and Todd. I love these guys. I talk with them every week. If I were you, I'd listen to the show, the podcast, rather than watch the YouTube video. unless you have sunglasses, because the whiteness of these guys' legs will cause some retina trauma. And I don't want to put, I don't want to put that evil on you. So listen to the podcast if you haven't yet.
I wore shorts to the spring game and nobody went blind that I know of.
That you know of.
Yeah, because it was so hot and you just persevered through all that heat, and you're a hero. And not all heroes wear capes, where you're on the field and you can see all the action. So
John came into the press box. John walks into the press box on Friday night, and all the other writers in there are wearing shorts. And John says, "Oh, hell, I could have wore shorts. Didn't even think about it."
Then he went to the nearest Target, and grabbed him some khaki cargo shorts.
Is it cargo shorts, right? You got pockets.
Lots of pockets for all of his camera gear.
Yeah, I did. I had an extra lens that I was carrying. I was, batteries, protein bars,
Swiss Army knife.
Wait, are you
pliers.
take snacks into Memorial Stadium?
I carry bags with me, so I stuff things into the bags. And normally I try to keep protein bars with me at all times.
Now we know. All right, back to the spring game.
Oh, spring game.
Yeah, that's where we were at.
Okay.
Full disclosure.
It was hot.
What?
It was hot.
Full disclosure. Jesus. Are you done, John?
Yeah, it's fine. I'll just be quiet.
Folks, he's recording the video.
We should feel sorry for the guy. That's what. Sorry.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Todd, you want to chime in inappropriately timed? Thank you, Todd. That's why you're my favorite. So, full disclosure, my wife repainting our living room. So we had the wall that the TV's kind of up against. We had that kind of torn down. We did enough research to find out that if you keep the cable box plugged in to both obviously the cable and the power, the DVR would still function properly. So while she was doing that, I was outside mowing the yard. So I didn't actually sit down to watch the spring game until Saturday night, watched a little bit of it. Sunday night, watched the rest of it. And the automatic recording shut off 2 hours in. So I actually missed the end of the spring game. That's okay. World smallest violin. Easy for me to say. But the first half, and I feel like this was the general consensus, Adrian Martinez looked quicker. And again, I get it that, he was playing in a situation where, it's a spring game. He's a quarterback. You can't hit him anyway. But I felt like his decision-making was much better. The arm looked like the mechanics looked better. The arm looked more accurate. He put some passes on the money that, unfortunately were dropped, but it was, I guess it was May. Never mind. I was gonna say it was April, but it was May. So we got a few months to work things out, but I want to start there with Adrian Martinez as far as, what did you guys see that, John, you had the best seat in the house. It's been, well described. What was it like at field level watching him, get out there and kind of show perhaps, at least certainly what we hope is the best Adrian Martinez we have ever seen?
Well, he's a known quantity. So I guess I didn't watch him that closely. I mean, I obviously have a camera and a lens and a whole gob of photos of him, including one that looks slightly like he's making a pose that's famous for some statue that the best player in the nation wins. But I mean, he did look fast. He looks good. He's a damn good athlete. I guess I wasn't, he looked slim, trim, muscular, looked like everything I'd want in a man if I wanted men. I was more interested in watching the other quarterbacks.
Well, we'll talk about them. Todd, from your bird's eye view, it seems that the consensus was pretty accurate as far as Adrian looking, as good as we have been fortunate enough to see him look.
Well, I thought so, but the whole first half for the most part was touch football. It gave the fans an opportunity to see Adrian wing it downfield. I think, probably now that I know more, it was probably a good thing that John didn't have any Blue Chew with his feelings about Adrian that he just described, being that close to him. I wasn't aware of that until just now. And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus.
I was thinking the same thing when he was talking about all of Adrian Martinez's accolades.
His manliness. No, I'm kind of like you, Greg, and I said this a while back. I don't get all that fired up for the spring game, but I wanted to see what the other quarterbacks were doing, and it's kind of I didn't watch the whole thing because I was en route. I saw the beginning, saw the end, but I was en route to the baseball game. John came into the press box and said, "Nebraska's got one quarterback," and it sounds to me, and looking at it, I think those, Smothers and Harburg, they're going to be good college quarterbacks. But they got a lot of growing up to do this summer, and there needs to be some development this summer. Because there's going to be a time one of them is going to be on the field. At least one of them is going to play and have to play in a big moment.
I will say this, and I don't know if this is the general consensus, and I don't know if coaches were wanting to get a better look at the lesser known commodity that is Heinrich Harburg. But I felt like he got more time on the field, more snaps than Logan Smothers. Did he at some point in the spring jump Logan? I'll full disclosure, I don't know if I've ever seen what Logan Smothers looked like or seen him in pads or anything before the spring game. He's kind of on the tiny side. And I mean, like smaller than Luke McCaffrey. And Luke, I think Luke had better height, but I don't know. Harburg's 6'5", I think they said. It's weird because you watch it on TV and nobody looks 6'5". I mean, the linemen still look normals like me, 6'2". And I know that a lot of them 6'8", 6'9". Certainly, was it Austin Allen is 6'8", something like that, or his build height is 6'8". So TV doesn't give you the best perspective. No. But Logan just looks, on the smaller side.
I thought he was good at improv. Both the quarterbacks that, Matt Masker played for a little bit. Notice how we get the names right. But I thought that Logan Smothers, if you got a guy that's going to go out and just make up plays and make some yardage on him, I thought Logan Smothers is going to be the guy that does that. On the other hand, Heinrich Harburg looks like a guy that in 2 years we're going to all be marveling at. That Scott found this. Scott, I know him on a first name basis, obviously. He found this diamond in the rough quarterback that everybody else in the nation overlooked because, I watched him and I thought, my God, this guy he's really raw. He's really slow to make decisions. He's obviously still trying to learn the playbook, but he looks like he could be just an amazing athlete.
So while we're talking about that, and John, you said, 2 years, again, arbitrary number. He's coming in. He just hit campus back in January, right? One of those early graduate situations. We have right here on the 5 Heart Podcast expressed concern over the ability to properly train up a quarterback, lack of progress, and in some cases, maybe even some regression. So is that a concern with someone who, just with the eye test, coming in, playing, in a big situation for him because he's Kearney Catholic. He's a Nebraska kid who probably dreamed of running out onto the field at Memorial Stadium and playing in front of the sea of red, or let's be honest, with the COVID restrictions, it was like the big pond of red. But big moment for him, certainly. But are there concerns about will he be able to progress at the appropriate levels?
Packages.
And this isn't time for a Blue Chew ad. We're trying to talk football.
They did this with McCaffrey, and we heard about it. You got to give Heinrich Harburg packages and get him on the field and get him some. Look, you guys shake your heads. No, yes, you have to give the guy some set plays that he's going to get on the field and run. Minnesota did this successfully the last few years with a guy named Seth Green, and the guy was their big fucking tall quarterback that on short yardage situations and on the goal line situations. I mean, Heinrich Harburg could learn to throw the jump pass like Tim Tebow did from the 3-yard line, or if it's not there, take off and plow his way through a line. There's your packages. You want to fight? Bring it on, motherfuckers. Come on, Nate.
Okay. What? I was really thrown off by the whole idea of having a package for a pro-style quarterback when you have Adrian Martinez. So I'm not entirely sure how to respond to that, but no, I think Heinrich is, luckily for Scott Frost, a revelation in some way or another. I think he could possibly be very, very good. As far as Smothers go, the fact that this makes me uncomfortable, and as far as a football sense, is that they're still messing with his mechanics as a thrower. And I don't know. And I'm not a football expert, obviously, but when I don't think in college football that you can mess with the mechanics of a player very much, because guess what? You might do all the drills you want and you're gonna whatever slot you want him to throw into, but when he gets into a game and all of a sudden you have guys just coming right at him, he's gonna go back right to where he was at. And it's the same thing with Luke McCaffrey. And I was critical that they thought they could turn Luke McCaffrey into a Division I quarterback, and I think that failed. And maybe isn't it at Louisville now? But I think maybe that'll work out for him there somehow. But maybe they're learning that they need to recruit guys with arm talent that can already throw the ball, because they already said they're not even going to mess with Heinrich's arm because he can toss it. And so maybe they found a diamond in the rough, but I like Logan Smothers. He's the better runner of all three of them. But man, the fact that you're still messing with his mechanics makes me think that's not a good thing.
One thing I did observe is Mario Verduzco, because I love that guy. He was wearing a white shirt, and honest to God, if they brought back, what the hell was that show with the plane? What is it? Fantasy Island? You would get off that plane going to Fantasy Island, and Mario Verduzco would be the fucking guy meeting you when you got off that plane. That's what he looked like. I loved it. I think he's stylish. The white shirt, he stuck it out. But one thing I noticed about him is he had a little notebook, and he was constantly scribbling stuff in it throughout the entire spring game. So he wasn't just messing with mechanics. He's messing with your head. Putting packages in there. You know why you get a package, Nate? Do you know why you get a package?
Why?
Because Scott Frost has got the whole warehouse full of offense. And some people can't grasp the magnitude of Scott Frost's mind. So you have to package it in smaller quantities and feed it into their brains.
No. the time that you run a package for somebody like a quarterback is when they can't throw the ball very well, and so the team doesn't have the other team doesn't have an opportunity to set up a game plan for what's coming for him because that quarterback can't read a defense, which is what happened at Ohio State when, all of a sudden we throw McCaffrey in there and he just, we go and run down the field and we score a touchdown and then Ohio State's, and then we never go back to it. Another package is or the year before that against Ohio State, remember we were running the triple option essentially?
Yeah.
And that was so cool, by the way. So cool. And we about ran it right down on them, but then Ohio State had to call a timeout. And then they blew off our doors anyways, but so.
And then Adrian threw that fucking interception where the guy landed on his back.
Yeah. But it was like Nebraska fans were like, holy crap. Like, it's these triple options. Like, oh. I don't know why you don't go back to that, but like I said, it's a package. So I guess never mind. That's a package, John.
It is.
So let's spend a little bit of time because we're closing in on an hour here, and that I'm okay. I got nothing going on tonight. But let's spend a little time talking about some of the more unknowns because we had a lot of turnover in the last year at wide receiver, and we have almost a brand new, running back room. And of course, Marquise Stepp did not play. We had some familiar names, Ronald Tompkins played. We had younger guys who did not see any, live game, fall season action like Sevion Morrison got some. But let's start with the running backs because I feel like heading into the spring game, there were a lot of question marks around the running back room. And at least what we see is there are a lot of options. I don't know if anybody necessarily like broke out of the pack. If we have a front runner at running back, no pun intended. But I feel like there's a lot of, you can almost say variety too, because I feel like a lot of them are built a little different and have a slightly different skill set. But I feel like, Scott Frost has, again, I don't want to be redundant, but I'm pretty good at it. Options in the running back room that he can put in there. Todd?
Well, he played a lot of kids, in the spring game, which you would expect. But the one that I guess I'm kind of most excited about is, that I can't say his name. Is it Jaquez Yant? Am I saying it right? He's a walk-on and he's a big kid. And how nice would it be to see a Nebraska running back that's physical and that can take a hit and can dish him out. And, that's supposedly what they think they're getting with Marquise Stepp, who's out with an injury. But, I think there's enough running backs that if the O-line creates the holes, creates the creases, I think there are the guys there that can gain yards.
Nate?
I want to talk about real quick because Todd, a lot of comparisons were drawn to him and Imani Cross. I think Imani Cross was brought in to be kind of that, big physical back. However, he was brought in the same recruiting class as Amir Abdullah. And when I feel, Amir Abdullah was, the type of talent that, even you can't get him off the field, for a situation because he was so talented. He was so effective a runner that he, granted it was against Fort Monroe School of the Blind or whatever team that had that, that big game winning, game saving touchdown run. But he was so good that he fit in, like a Swiss Army knife. He fit into every situation. So Imani Cross did not have quite as much of an opportunity to show, I think, his skill set. And he was one that I was very excited to see when he signed. But I'm hopeful that Jaquez Yant has the opportunity, is given the opportunity to showcase his skills because, like you said, Todd, big physical. I think another word you could use could be punishing. In a right scenario, he could lay the wood on a defender. So that'd be kind of fun. We haven't had that in a while. Speaking of laying the wood, gentlemen, BlueChew.com. No, moving on.
Nate, what did you think of the running backs?
Okay, so I was very impressed with the answer. Yeah. Anyways, the guy we've been talking about, and I think he needs to drop about 10 pounds. I think, and I think he will still be just as physical. And running back coach Ryan Held even mentioned that essentially they all need to get in shape because they all have been injured throughout spring ball, and so I think that's going to be the determining factor. Sevan Morrison, I think, looks like the most natural running back. I would say Ronald Tompkins supposedly is like the most talented, and he's obviously further down on the depth chart for whatever reason. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. Marvin Scott, I thought looked really good, but I think his ceiling is a little lower than Sevan Morrison. But I think to me, Yant looks like a hammer, and I think he would be what did John say? As far as a set of plays that called
Container.
My package.
Oh yeah, one of those.
I don't
And
know.
My Blue Chew package.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're on the 3-yard line. Maybe I'll put that guy in.
Another name that none of us have mentioned yet was Gabe Irvin Jr.
Yes, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, he is. To me, he looks like a smaller, compared to some of the other guys, smaller, but he can catch it out of the backfield, which maybe the other guys can't. I don't know. That's kind of the difference. He's kind of a do-it-all. The fact that he's from a powerhouse, and I think in Georgia, and that's the thing. Running back as a true freshman, some people think he might be number one. And so I guess we'll find out. But yeah,
there's a scenario that rolls around in my head. 2 years out, maybe 3 years out, depending on how the depth chart. Let's go 2 years out, where your 1-2, like your backfield, could include Irvin, Gabe Irvin Jr. and Jaquez Yant, and that is something that Husker fans I think should be really excited for. And I'm not taking anything away from any of the other guys that we mentioned, because as I said kind of at the outset, talking about the running back position, I think like you said, Nate, getting everybody healthy is going to be key, between now and July, August. But there are so many. This might be as a deep running back pool, running back room as we've seen in a long time.
It's a shame no one's ever invented an offense that has 3 running backs in the backfield. Maybe like one of them who puts his hand down in the ground, and a couple of other, one to the right of him and one to the left of him, maybe, and runs an offense from that kind. I don't know. It makes sense to me that maybe that's possible.
Are you talking about the diamond, Todd?
Well, something more like a V or a wishbone or something like that, maybe. Are you
gonna have them swing their fucking heads too for a fake? You going back to?
I'm gonna have them spin all the way around. Direct snap.
God, we can't help but go back to we need a fullback. We got to have a fullback. If the fullback doesn't exist, we ain't ever going to win again. Run the damn ball.
So another position that, as I alluded to, a few minutes ago, that I think a lot of people were curious about to see their progress. The personnel would be wide receiver, and we touched on it at the beginning. Omar Manning, he did have a kind of a crucial drop. Kenny Bell made the joke. He said he's got green gloves. I don't know about those green gloves, but then again, Kenny said on the commentary, he's like, I used to wear that blue jersey under mine. I don't think a lot of people like that. So, so he, and Todd and John, you guys were at the game. Of course, we know Todd, bird's eye view. John, right there on the sideline, best view in the house. So he didn't, unless you went back and watched the broadcast. But I thought Kevin Kugler and Kenny Bell did a nice job. I thought that Kenny maybe was a little nervous at the beginning, but kind of warmed up and found his rhythm eventually. But back to the receivers, which of course Kenny knows a thing or two about. I feel like again, I don't want to repeat myself and say options, but I feel like there's some quality talent in that group, and I don't think we even saw everybody on Saturday. Did I miss it? I didn't. I don't. Again, I was watching it, or while feeding a child or two, things like that. But did I see Xavier Betts out there?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Betts. I apologize. I know
he had to play with the second string quarterbacks.
That's why. Okay. No.
I think he got one reception.
But again, good problem to have. I think my one catch. I was thinking about this too because I know that Kugler said that the team was broken up, heavily favoring the red squad, and of course the final was 21-20 white. I always wondered why not put the ones against each other, number one offense versus number one defense. Wouldn't that make for the most equitable matchup?
Injuries. That's why.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, because they said they had 43. I know. I'm sorry, I walked away, so I don't know if you said it already, but they had 43 players on the injury list during the spring because they said it was a very physical spring as they're trying to catch up for whatever that means.
I guess it depends on what you expect out of your spring game. Do you expect anything that resembles reality, or you just there to have fun? And I think that it was, first of all, the receivers, going back to that, I think our receivers look. I read that bit earlier off the Omaha World paper, and I think Frost has the best set of receivers that we've seen in a long time. They're just going to have to, obviously with all of this stuff, there's the P word, and it's not because of Blue Chew, it's potential. And we are going to have to go out on the field and show it, right?
You're going to say pandemic. I was confused.
When you look at Omar Manning and Samari Torre on the field, they, the way they picked the college football playoff as the fucking eye test. Those guys passed the eye test with flying colors. Samari Torre just looks like he's going to set the world on fire. I mean, he looks like an excellent specimen. Nothing else.
Oliver Martin too. I think he's going to be really good in the fall. I think he will be.
I think going to have to keep your eyes out for Will Nixon a little bit too. I don't know that he would be one of the starters, but I think if there's going to be any kind of the second coming of Wan'Dale Robinson, it'll be Will Nixon.
Yeah, and they said, and I've read that too about Will Nixon, that he's probably Wan'Dale's replacement. And I was really big on Alante Brown, and I didn't notice him during the spring game, and I think he did play. And maybe he might even have a catch or two. I'm not sure, but I'm a big Alante Brown fan, and I didn't really notice him. I kind of forgot about him, because I thought he would be Wan'Dale's replacement, and maybe not. Maybe it is Will Nixon, And so that's fine. however it works.
I don't think there's not gonna be a Wandale replacement.
No, but you're still going to want to
There's-
run some of that scheme, I think.
Well, yeah, but you go back to UCF, and I think one of the things that happened in UCF under Scott Frost's offense was they spread the ball around between 8 or 9 guys.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to, if we're successful on offense and the potential comes about and our offense actually starts clicking, we're going to see a lot of guys on the field and a lot of guys running routes.
I saw today also, there's 3 pretty, highly sought after, maybe that's not the right word, but there's 3 wide receivers that are not on campus yet. They're going to come in as true freshmen here, in a month or so. And, people are speaking fairly highly of them. So, maybe that group will become even more, have even more depth. So I think they're in good hands. So,
the one thing nobody talked about the spring game. We haven't mentioned it. I saw almost nobody bring it up at all. Nobody is talking about the defense because nobody is worried about the defense. I mean, there's a couple of points about the defense that you might be worried about, but literally nobody's like, oh my God.
Well, the defense was handcuffed. You couldn't tell what the defense had in this game.
But I mean, even as a conversation piece, it just literally has not come up.
I think it's interesting, and I'd love to see a list of the players who have gone to the transfer portal. Oh, there's a baby. I think I heard. And the players in the transfer portal on the defensive side compared to on the defensive side compared to the offensive side. And I think that's a big part of it. I don't know. And I think a big part of it is consistency on the offensive side and some really bad decisions. Sorry, did I say consistent on the defensive side and some bad decisions on the offensive side? I think it's kind of because I think Nebraska fans, we're all worried about the offense, right? I think we feel like the defense is something we can, they're not going to be the 2009 defense, but maybe they could be the 13. Something that's like, I don't know, maybe you can slow somebody down.
Well, we're going to find out. And we start out with Illinois. And this week we find out that we get to play Fordham at home in the second game of the season. Anybody know anything about Fordham?
Okay. Vince Lombardi, 7 blocks of granite.
Okay.
Can you elaborate on that, Todd?
Yeah.
We know who Vince Lombardi is, but 7 blocks of granite.
Joe Pesci starting a movie with mobsters. There you go. Does that relate to Fordham? What the fuck is Vince Lombardi and 7 blocks of granite got to do?
Vince Lombardi played football at Fordham, and back during that era, they had an offensive line and their 2 ends that they referred to as the 7 blocks of granite because they were so stout. That's what I know about Fordham football. That's from the 1930s, John, when I think you were on your first marriage back then.
Hey, don't laugh at that. That wasn't that funny, fucking funny, Greg. Jesus. Denzel Washington is alumni.
You can't yell at me. I'm holding a baby.
Oh, well, you're right. Denzel Washington, Alan Alda are alumni of Fordham.
Okay.
Hey, I have thoughts. Can I say something?
Oh, sure.
Hey, are you going to go scorched earth?
What?
Are you going to go scorched earth? I feel like whenever you preface something by saying "I have thoughts," that means we're all in trouble.
No, I feel like we're just trying to talk about it without having an opinion. Anyways, the fact a bunch of people who are upset that we have now dropped who whoever we dropped. I'm sorry.
We dropped Southeastern Louisiana.
Yeah, and they're like super upset we dropped them, and we added Fordham, even though they're both FCF schools, and there's going to be the money difference and all that. Hopefully, we can reschedule the other team. But I just thought, like, some people were so upset. Like, we thought they're like, oh, this is Nebraska again. Look at that. They're scheduling Fordham. Like, no. We're just moving the FCS school that's going to be at, week 10 or whatever. We're just moving it to the beginning so we get a home game, and then we get one win on our belt. Yeah, especially if you lose to Illinois, because we definitely could. And so there's a large section of the fan base, or not large, I should say, who knows, a vocal section of the fan base that thinks that, like, look at us again. Or maybe it's people outside.
Really? Is there people that think that way?
Yeah, because I saw some people talking about it, like they thought, oh, you might as well just schedule a high school team or something like that. And I was like, no, we just want to move somebody up because we're playing. The original plan was to play Illinois and in Ireland on week 0. And now we're not. We're just going to play Illinois at Illinois on week 0. And then we're going to have one home game at against Buffalo. And then nothing until, I think, October, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's not ideal. I mean, like, really. I mean, it's far from ideal. So I think it's smart that they did it. And so, yeah, we're playing for him. Yeah. Maybe we're going to beat him. Who knows? Maybe we'll beat them 35-20, and then we can all go home and be happy about ourselves. Who knows? So,
are the vocal crybabies that you're referencing there, Nate? My word, not yours. But do they not realize? Like, I'm in complete agreement. Like, November, week 10 or week 11 or whatever is no time to schedule an FCS opponent. Thank you, son, for farting in my hand. But do they realize that? Like, and I don't subscribe to that mentality. But Alabama, where were these people who, were they saying anything? Did they have an opinion when in back-to-back years Alabama was playing Mercer and Citadel the week before the Iron Bowl? I mean, it's ridiculous. Get your non-con out of the way early. Your payday games, whatever it is. But October, November, that's conference play, and so I fully support the program's decision to move in this direction. And again, whether they'll reschedule Southeastern Louisiana or what, I don't know. Don't care. Fill in with somebody else. I don't care. It makes more sense, both, for competition and for finances, to have that home game in September than it does in November.
Well, I would say the question is, why, when you knew that the game was not going to be in Ireland, why does it still have to be on week 0 and not week 1? I think that was one of the questions, and I don't know the answer to that at all, because guess what? Then we're going to play, because if we play, we played Illinois week 0, then we have a week off, and then we can play Buffalo, who, by the way, could beat us. And then we go play Oklahoma. If I'm correct on that. So,
Buffalo, the coaching staff just moved to Lawrence, Kansas.
Yeah.
Well, no. Yeah, that doesn't mean they're going to suck. Is that at least have the schedule correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
you
pretty
have the
close.
schedule correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that Kansas hired, and a lot of staff went, because I was happy when that head coach, because he used to coach at UNO, went to Kansas, because that's good for us, because that was not going to be an easy game for Nebraska. And then he took a bunch of the assistants with him, which is good for us. But again, we won 3 games last year. So it's like, but anyway, so
we won 3 out of 8. Had we played 12, we would have won 7. I'm not that worried about it.
Okay, listen. The people that think that
goodness, man.
The people that think that moving the game to September in the first week, they're just joy killing fucknuts. That's all they are. You're going to have is a home game that's completely full of Husker fans that you can show to recruits. And there is nothing more beautiful than a full Memorial Stadium in fall in Nebraska. You're going to bring those recruits in November when it's fucking cold? No, you're going to bring them in September when it's absolutely gorgeous and everybody's happy, except for these curmudgeon-y fucknut people. It's still bitching. Maybe you should give up your tickets and go fucking root for Iowa, you average motherfuckers. Yeah. So that's
so then to add on to that is now we get a bye week before don't we play Ohio State, Minnesota, and Iowa? Is that how the season ends?
Between that's Ohio where that State game was. Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. I mean, so I would prefer a bye week there. I would think going through that schedule, but anyways, I'm good on that. You guys can. I feel like I've talked too much about it, so anyways.
You have, but that's okay. We still love you, Nate.
I got no problem with the change in the schedule. None.
We moved the body bag game from November to September. That's it. That's all it is. It's a fucking body bag game.
People were upset about it, man. I don't know why, but they were.
Guys, they want to bitch about it. People just like to bitch. I think crusty old fucking men. I have to be around crusty old men a lot. Well, I don't actually, but there's Todd. He can be pretty crusty sometimes. Him and his fucking intestinal issues.
I will say this. It has the last 5, 6, 7 years, which is, I know it's in the grand scheme of things, it's a short window to look at, but when we are in essentially year 20 of rebuild, mediocrity, whatever you want to call it, the biggest hurdle in Nebraska fandom is Nebraska fans. So we, through these gates, and that quote, and everybody I've ever talked to who's ever, sat around a Husker fan, if they're not Husker fans, like, oh, Husker fans are so nice. They're so inviting, so warm and welcoming. And that's true. As long as you're wearing the colors of another team, as long as it's not Iowa or Colorado. Yeah. But the infighting in Husker Nation is getting to the point where it's almost unbearable. We rallied around Scott Frost. Bye, Nate. He said bye this time. That was sweet of him. We rallied around Scott Frost for a game, or a half, maybe. Well, I guess it was his first game. Was that the Colorado game that we were up big at halftime and then lost? Yeah. So at the end of that Colorado game, 40% of the fan base had turned already. And here we are now, the beginning of year 4. Will you stop? I'm trying to make an important point. Thank you. We're the beginning of year 4, and there's still that divide. And we've been saying here for a couple of years now, the Frost didn't know. I mean, Haas Reuter said it when he was, a regular part of the tripod, that Scott Frost didn't know really the deficit, the uphill climb that he faced when he took the job. And if he didn't know, average schmucks like you and me didn't know. And, all we had was what we saw on TV, what we read in the paper, what we heard on the radio. So the fact that, there's still this ravine, this Grand Canyon-like divide between people like, Frost is going to get it done and Frost is never going to get it. It's, like I said, it's unbearable. It's annoying. It's frustrating. And I'm sick of it. Like a wise man once said, can't we all just get along?
Greg, you have to realize that back when Tom Osborne around, people bitched about him constantly. Charlie McBride couldn't coach a defense. He was a terrible coach. He didn't know how to coach defense. He didn't know what a defense was. Tom Osborne couldn't win the big one. It was fucking on and on and on. You only appreciate those people when they're gone. So,
okay, and I've heard that, and I'm not disputing that. The difference is that was, let's say, the 80s. There was no social media, Twitter, anything like that around. So I think while I want to say the majority of people get it, there's still that vocal, piss poor attitude group who, all they are so negative. Like recruits see that, and we want to stick our head in the sand and say, "Oh no, it's fine." They're going to come here for the 5 national championships and playing in front of the most consecutive sellouts in college football and all these other accolades, and maybe they do, but they also don't want to, I feel, be coming into a toxic situation. And I don't like using that word toxic because it's taken on that word has taken on a life of its own the last few years. But if you do something wrong, it's tough to be Adrian Martinez in Nebraska because you are carrying the hopes and dreams of the entire state on your back every Saturday. And if you do something great, we'll carry you off the field. And if you do something wrong, we'll bury you under the field, and it's tough. And we have, it's the end of the first week of May, 2021. We have, I don't know, 3 months, we'll say 3.5 months before game time, before the season starts. And we have to figure out in that short amount of time to do something that Husker fans haven't been able to do in the last 20 years, and that's get along with one another. I put the challenge out there. Husker fans, if you're listening to this, take this seriously because we've seen it. We at Corn Nation have seen it in recent years that there's more to life than football. I know, John, you're
There's Nebraska baseball.
There's Nebraska baseball. But there are things that are bigger than Husker sports. And it doesn't pain me to say that because we've all experienced it. Like John died and came back. One of our good friends didn't,
Yeah.
And that's that galvanizing moment when you realize that, we used to say win the damn game in honor of Brian. But there's so much more. And I get it. I love putting everything on the back burner on Saturday, morning, afternoon, evenings. And I love devoting that chunk of time of my week, of my life to Husker football. I love coming on here and doing this podcast. And I'll do it as long as you have me, John. But we have to figure out how to just, be the relief pitcher, be the field goal kicker, be the goalie with the short-term memory. Something bad happens, can't control it. Let's move on to the next week, baby. That's all we've got to do, and we suck at it. Amen.
What do you say? We're a bunch of crybabies. Was that on purpose?
Not you or Todd or Nate. I mean, I see it. I think, and again, I'm speaking from observation, what I see. And like, I think the coordination group that we have, the Slack chat room, it's animated at times, but I think everybody gets it. And I feel like there's that fraction, that percentage of the fan base that they just want to, they have something empty inside them that they just have to burn every bridge on their way out of town. And it sucks. And I'm tired of seeing it. And I'm sick of the belly aching. Let's just move on. Sorry, guys.
Todd?
No. Well, I don't know. There's nothing that I can add to that. I agree with what you're saying, Greg. But as far as Nebraska football is concerned, I'm optimistic. And in fact, I'm always optimistic. I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker. I think that this team is going to have to play very well this year to get 6 or 7 wins. I think they can do it. But you're right. The fan base needs to be united behind them. And, I'm not going to think about football until August rolls around. There's other fish to fry right now. And, we'll get fired up for it in the fall. And, so it is. John?
Are we going to finish now? Because I'm running out of energy as the old man.
I do want to throw one thing in, just between the three of us. I do have a new third favorite college football team.
Oh, pray tell, who is it?
Presbyterian. They're an FCS team. They play in the Pioneer League. They just hired Kevin Kelly to be their head coach. Kevin Kelly coached at Pulaski Academy in Arkansas, and his teams did not punt. They did not punt. And 90+% of the time, they kicked onside kicks. And he had different onside kicks for under different situations. I hope that the rules in college football aren't so messed up that he can't bring that kind of philosophy to college football. It might be fun to watch Presbyterian. Bill Belichick is a big fan of his. Exciting times at Presbyterian, whatever they are. The Presbyterian preachers.
Well, there you go.
I have no idea what they are.
Real quick, while we're laughing and joking, want to congratulate the young men who were either drafted or signed undrafted free agent contracts. You had Brendan Hymas, who was drafted. Matt Farniok was drafted. And then, I couldn't tell you the last time the 2 offensive linemen were drafted in the same class, but congratulations to those men. Then you had Dedrick Mills, who signed with the Lions, DiCaprio Bootle with the Chiefs, and Jack Stoll with the Eagles. Those are the only ones I know about. I don't know if any other happened when I've been out of the news cycle, but if you want to pass along congratulations to those men, go make that impact. So one of their 1 year ahead of them went out and won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Mr. Davis. So anything's possible, man. The world is your oyster. Don't eat it. I don't know why. It just feels weird. So that is it for the 5 Heart. Making funny faces. I can't do anything to smile. That's it for the 5 Heart podcast. Thanks to Nate McHugh, who was able to spend some time with us, Todd Wolverton, John Dam Johnston. Of course, as always, I'm Greg Mahochko. We remind you this week and every week that 5 Heart is all the heart you need. John?
Go Big Red. And that goes out to that guy I gave that beer to and how much joy he had on his face for getting a free beer. He was so excited, and I hope everybody experiences that much excitement in the coming week.
Todd? Pay it forward.
Amen.